Hi everybody, welcome back to Taiwan Talk. I'm Alex Lewis. This week we continue our look into blogs about Taiwan with a blog about running. My friend Cory Lewandowski runs a running blog called fishcounterblog.wordpress.com, which I know is an odd name for a blog dedicated to running here in Taiwan, but you'll hear all about the origin of the name in the interview, along with life as a runner here in Taiwan, where Cory likes to run, and the running series that he started. Now let's get down to the interview. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Taiwan Talk. My name is Alex Lewis, and this week I talked to Cory Lewandowski, or Lewandowski. I don't know how you pronounce it. Cory, can you give us a little introduction about yourself?
Well, it's Cory Lewandowski. I'm Polish, but I'm from America, and I'm here living in Taiwan and running as much as I can.
All right, very cool. I know for a fact that you have a lot of running experience. I have run with you, actually, in a few running groups, the China Hash House Harriers. But also you run a blog called the fishcounterblog.wordpress.com, and it's a blog that covers running here in Taiwan and also your running exploits around the world. Could you tell us a little bit about that blog?
Yeah. So I started that. It's called Fish Counter Blog because I was living and working in Alaska, and I was a fisheries researcher. So my job was kind of to get onto a boat and basically count fish. And the blog was started for that. I thought that I would be writing interesting stories about that. But then as time went on, I started to keep on using it in Taiwan. And once I moved to Taiwan, kind of running took up my life and took up the blog as well.
Okay, so
actually, I haven't been running for a long time. I started running back in after I was living in Alaska. So probably only about 4 years now.
No way.
Taiwan for 3, yeah. Yeah, I did my very first race when I was living in Alaska.
That's amazing.
And yeah, it was. Actually, my first race was in New York. It's called the Menden Mauler.
Mm-hmm.
And while I was living in Alaska, since I'd be stuck on these boats all the time, I would just get off and I would say, well, I like running. I mean, I just want to go for a run, and I also like hiking. So I have this brand new idea. I'm going to just go for a run in the mountains. Like, nobody's ever thought of this before, as you know. Just, spoiler alert, people have already thought of this.
Yeah.
So when I heard about a trail race, I signed up for it. It was the Menden Mauler. And I crossed the finish line, and there was nobody there. I was like, oh, no, I did it wrong. I cheated. I did something wrong. And people came running out. They said, you win. Congratulations.
That's awesome.
So it's been kind of a love thing ever since then.
You won your first race, man. That's pretty hardcore. Just knowing you, I just thought you ran a good amount of your life. You're a really good runner, and you run a lot, and you run ultra marathons, and you just run these long trails, and you run everywhere, basically. So that's why I thought that.
Yeah. Well, that came from just, it wasn't really a structured program, but I was getting out there. I'd put a backpack on, start jogging up a mountain, and then just spend the day running. Because when I'd be living on these boats, I would spend sometimes up to 3 months at a time at sea.
Oh,
so as soon as I touched land, I immediately wanted to get into the mountains and just get away from, the engines and the diesel and the fish. So I would spend the entire day up in the mountains just jogging around.
And then you got really into it in Taiwan, right? So could you tell me about how that was? I feel like Taiwan's a really good place to hike and also run.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So for one, the trails are like a spider web out here. I mean, they're really well maintained. There are people out there just cleaning them and trimming and putting up these little plants on the edges. You could be, 8 kilometers away from the city, and there's some old guy that's coming out there and fixing everything, making everything beautiful out here. And on top of that, the community is wonderful, and you can train year-round. So I met Peter with Taiwan Beast Runners and Tom with Runivore. And everything just kind of clicked, and decided to see how well I could do if I actually tried a structured training program and started traveling around doing ultramarathons here.
All right, very cool. And I think that culminated in you qualifying for the Boston Marathon. You wrote about this in your blog too, like your kind of like trials and tribulations trying to qualify for the Boston Marathon. How did it feel, I guess, to qualify?
It felt amazing because. I'd been doing these trail races here in Asia, and the question I always get was, well, if you came back to the United States, how good would that be? How good would you be? Or if you ran a race in London or something else, like, yeah, I can kill people on a trail here on a tiny little island, but how does that translate internationally? So the marathon is kind of like that. It's I can say that I have this marathon. Also, my family's from Boston, so I had this idea that, okay, great, I'm going to qualify for Boston, go to Boston and run, the biggest marathon, the hardest to qualify for a marathon.
Mm-hmm.
And that started back in 2015, and it's been, if you read it, it's been a little bit of a pain in the butt to actually accomplish that task.
I did read your piece, and I think it's pretty cool that you got it, and that piece got picked up by Reddit and in Runner's World, right?
Yeah, so I ended up getting passed around a lot. I think mostly because there's everybody's doing running blogs. They're all saying, I did this, I did this, I did this. I try to keep mine silly and fun and have some little themes to it and stuff, so at least you're a little entertained for it. Mm-hmm. I think maybe the entertainment factor was the only thing that got me a little bit more popular.
Okay, you do have articles like how to be a terrible ultra runner. That's like your your latest piece, and that was a really entertaining read.
Did you learn a lot from that?
I did learn a lot from it. I'm not an ultra runner myself, so it was good to read about them.
It's kind of a secluded community, so I try to it seems like I see the same 20 big runners here in Asia, and it's kind of cool to take that and show people what it's like to be part of this insane community that wants to wake up at 2 a.m, put on a headlamp, and keep running until you have to take the headlamp back out of your backpack and start running at night again.
Yeah, that's crazy. And do you find that I think there are fervent runners everywhere in the world. How do people here in Taiwan compare to everywhere else?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like every country's got their local stars and stuff. Taiwan's got some really strong runners, especially in the marathon, I think. It's because you can train all year round here. So like where I'm from in New York and in Boston, you have to take off 3-4 months a year because of the snow. Here in Taiwan, I mean, except for the summer, I mean, I'm still running. I did a 22K yesterday in this heat, but other than that, you can just keep on training and training and training. What I find here in Taiwan is these guys, they're super fast at climbing. They can just zip up these mountains and stuff, and the only way that I can keep up is if I can just keep going and going and going and going, and hope that they burn out. But yeah, there's some very, very strong runners in Asia, and it's getting more and more popular here. Please
correct me if I'm wrong. Are you vegetarian or vegan?
I'm vegetarian. I do eat fish because I was doing research on fish and stuff, and it's mostly environmental. I just don't want to support I don't want to support factory farming, that kind of stuff. But when I tell people that I'm pescatarian, they go, "Oh, great, I'm a Gemini."
Yeah, a little bit different from what you're talking about.
Yeah, but yeah, I feel like most ultra runners, I think it's much more than 50% are either vegan or vegetarian.
And why is that? Is it just like a cleaner fuel source?
Yeah, you eat a lot more. You eat a lot more nutrients and stuff. So people always worry about if you're a runner, you need more protein and all that stuff. Some of the biggest things you're missing are more fiber. Everybody's low on fiber. We're missing a lot of our iron and B vitamins and stuff. When you're vegetarian, you're eating a lot more leafy greens and whole grains, and it ends up being just a lot cleaner fuel source. And yeah, we really don't need as much meat as we put in our bodies. But actually, on top of that, too, most ultra runners, they're spending a lot of time in nature, and they're thinking about this stuff, and they're thinking, maybe I don't want to be making a factory farm. Maybe I don't want to be causing eutrophication into the water or having to transport and package all of this meat and stuff. And it's just you want to eat something from the garden.
Yeah, so there's like a natural connection between ultra running and, I guess, environmental conservation efforts and such, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of hippies out there.
Just running on them trails, yeah. But how about the lifestyle of the runner here in Taiwan, right? Eating the food and also getting the proper gear and the quality of the running routes. I think you touched upon that and everything. But, just all-inclusive, how's living life here as a runner?
Gear is tough, definitely. It's changing a lot, especially if you're a big guy like me. I mean, I wear size 12 shoes, so I'm the only guy, I think, on the island looking for trail shoes for ultramarathons that are size 12, so I have to order everything online. But when I first moved here, I couldn't find gels. So gels they're like 200 calorie little packets. When you're running, you can suck one down every 45 minutes or so. And I was actively searching around to all of these sports stores I could in all of Taipei. There's nothing. Today there are hugely dedicated stores to running. Also, when I first got here, there was Easy Fun trail races, and that was pretty much it. Now we have Taiwan Beast Runners, Action Asia, My Race Series that I organize, and it's growing. It's exploding. I think that people aren't so scared to get out in the sun anymore. They're seeing how beautiful the trails are here in Taiwan, and they want to give it a try. And when they give it a try, they realize this is something that's really special.
Very cool. Talk about the race series that you organize.
I work for Taiwan Beast Runners. I do some of their ultramarathon stuff. Those are extreme. I mean, some of the races take 12 hours or so to complete, and it's deep in the forest.
Wow.
But I was remembering when I did a few races all over in Spain and in America. They were just parties. They were so much fun. I mean, you were enjoying each other's company a lot more because you were all suffering through it together. And so I had this idea for setting up just a huge party that was also a race. So the idea is it's a relay style, and it starts at noon and ends at sunset. And at noon, one teammate kicks off, and you go for a fixed lap. It's usually 3 kilometers or 4 kilometers. When you return in, you pass off your baton, and then your partner goes off running. But in the meantime, you're all hanging out, mingling. There's music playing. We have beer, lots of good food and stuff, and we just party until the sun goes down, and then party some more after that. But there is definitely like a ultra running aspect of it because it's 7 hours of pushing your body. So we get some really strong runners. Most of the very strong runners that I know in Taiwan have come out for it, and a lot of people that are doing their very first run come out for it. So it's great to have that entire community together.
Wow, that's really cool. Yeah, bringing everybody in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
'Cause we have teams of 2, which can get really competitive, where it's just 2 guys cranking out his laps as fast as they can. And we got teams of 4 as well. So it could be an hour and a half before you have to go for a run. And then, you go for your run, and it's just, you go for a little jog, and then maybe you end up doing 2 times and mostly just chilling out and hanging out with your friends. And you get to watch the whole thing go down, too.
Yeah, that's really awesome. I find, wouldn't that be hard to run and drink beer at the same time? I can't do it. I've tried. I just can't do it.
I'm practicing. I'm working on it.
Yeah. Practice makes perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what's your favorite areas to run in, I guess, in Taiwan?
You always love your hometown stuff. So right in front of my front door, I've got, it's Tianshangshan, so Heaven Mountain. It's a 500-meter climb up to the peak, and some really gorgeous trails around there. I live in the Tuchen area, and I've been exploring in this area for 2.5 years now, and still I go out for a run, and I'm like, oh man, I didn't even know this whole section of trails were in here. And this is going for runs there every day, all week. So yeah, Tuchen is wonderful just because I live right there. I'm not sure my exact favorite section. It's like asking your favorite ice cream flavor.
Yeah.
Sometimes I want chocolate, sometimes I want vanilla.
Yeah, but I mean, it shows that you have a really good mix here in Taiwan, I guess, right? If you want to get a chocolate kind of trail, you can do that. If you want to get a vanilla kind of trail, you can go elsewhere.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, it's a volcanic mountain, so if you're looking for vert, we have straight up, basically rock climbing vert. And then on top of that, there are I think I read that there are over 200 kilometers of bike trails in northern Taiwan. So you hop on the riverside trails here, and it's just, there's like brand new bathrooms and drink machines, and it's a whole community of runners that you can, last night I ran 22 kilometers from my front door up to Gangwon, and I didn't have to pass a single red light. I didn't see a single scooter or anything. It's like you can forget that you're even in the city. It's amazing.
Wow, that sounds great. If I could run 22 kilometers, I would totally do that. But yeah,
you can do 5 on it. It's fine.
Yeah, that's true. Doesn't. This is true. So, what's coming up next for your blog? How do you pick your blog posts? Is it kind of just you write about the experiences you just had, or is it more planned out in a way? What's going on there?
I don't like to waste people's time. So if I have a story, I'll write it. A lot of times I'll go off on a big trip. Like I went to New Zealand, and we did a road trip, and I did a 100-kilometer race there with Runivore. Me and the Runivore guys, we all did the 100K. And as I was leaving, I was just feeling like there wasn't. I mean, like everything went well. We had an awesome time, but you can't write a story about we had an awesome time. So I ended up. It took me a long time to kind of type something up because I was getting some questions about like what happened and stuff in Tarawera. But yeah, it could be like an amazing experience, but I won't write about it if there's not a story. So sometimes it'll be just something simple, like something that's been nagging on my mind, and I'll have to pen it down.
Okay, yeah. So you're just not trying to crank out content, you just want to be quality and just really like come from the heart or something.
I don't want to make it so people are sifting through and trying to find the good ones.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And so like, do you have a upcoming post that you you're thinking about writing, or that you're currently writing right now?
I was thinking about doing one where I'm talking about, because right now in Taiwan it's just crazy hot. So I was doing some research about like running in the heat and its effects on your body and its effects on your training. And with that much research, I kind of want to write something down for that. So I think that might be my next post. But I do have a trip to Australia coming up. Me and my girlfriend are going to rent a hippie van. We're going to road trip all over the Gold Coast and that area, and I'm going to run a 50K race. So if something's going down there, I'll be typing up and doing something for that.
That sounds awesome, man. That sounds really cool. Actually, my favorite one of your posts was when you went to town on the gear, right? It was like talking about shoes, and you're just like, yeah, like this, like, this shoe is just trash.
Oh, geez, yeah. That was, I was a little angry about that. Yeah, if I had Meryl pursue me and ask me to, I don't know if you've seen, like, sometimes I'll write about products, and a lot of times they are products that a company has given me, and I tell them flat out right away, like, hey, if you give me this and you want me to do a blog post about it, I'm going to talk about the great stuff, I'm going to talk about the bad stuff, too. And, I'm not saying any names, but Meryl wanted me to wear their gear, and it fell apart after, like, I don't know, I think I did 80K on a pair of shoes, and it got destroyed, and then they gave me another one, and I just couldn't run in it. And then I had the pair of the red shoes, and they said, we really want you to do a piece on the All Out Crush, the shoes that are here. We're trying to gain some traction with that and stuff. And I was like, well, I didn't really like the shoes. And they were like, yeah, but could you just do a piece saying how great it is and how you are planning on doing an ultra in them? So I ended up doing this kind of scathing review of these shoes and sent it along to the company to tell them, hey, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I don't want to be writing BS to make you guys happy.
Yeah. Good on you, man. Oh, I as a reader appreciate that. So
yeah,
that was good to read. Anyway, man, thanks for coming on the show and talk to me about your experience, your blog, and just running in general. And I appreciate it. Thanks, Cory.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for having me on.
A big thank you to Cory for coming on the show to talk to me about his blog, fishcounterblog.wordpress.com, running in Taiwan, and his running series, Beat the Sunset Solstice Relay. And that's it for this week's Taiwan Talk. I'm Alex Lewis.